All right, so the blueprint for the U.S. Constitution started with a bold plan. It was created by James Madison, and here's why the Virginia Plan was key in shaping America's change into a new government. I'm Matt Haspelin. I'm a social studies and a civics teacher, and I'm here just to kind of increase depth of knowledge for you folks out there. So the story kind of goes like this. So it's the summer of 1787. James Madison, who will be later known as the father of the Constitution, plays a pivotal role in the drafting of the Virginia Plan. It's a proposal that would shape the structure of the new U.S. government. The Virginia Plan was a comprehensive proposal for creating a stronger central government, one that would address the flaws of the Articles of Confederation. So, although the plan was controversial for the time it was in, it eventually became like the foundation for the U.S. Constitution. So, before the Virginia Plan was conceived, the United States was governed by the Articles of Confederation, which had created a weak central government. The Articles had been an important first step in uniting the 13 colonies during and after the Revolutionary War, but they quickly proved to be quite inadequate. The central government had no power to tax, regulate trade, enforce the laws, and it really lacked the authority to solve the financial and political challenges that the new country was facing. And so by 1787, the Articles had effectively just broken down. The country was in debt. The central government was unable to address these pressing economic and security challenges, including disputes between states and the threat of foreign intervention. And then we see that the need for reform is clear. And in May of 1787, a constitutional convention was convened in Philadelphia with the purpose to revise the Articles. But Madison had different plans. Madison's plan is not to amend the Articles of Confederation, but it's a plan to create a new, more effective system of government. So James Madison was a 36-year-old delegate from Virginia. He's a key figure in what will become the Constitutional Convention. And he arrived with that intent of amending the Articles, but in the process of doing his research, he recognized that, man, we need a more radical overhaul. And so his vision for a new system of government would be based on a stronger federal structure rather than a confederate structure. A confederacy is a loose association of states. Well, a federal structure would be a system that's based on a balance of power between the states and the central government, but also with three co-equal separate branches of government. Madison believed that the government should have the power to regulate commerce, levy taxes, enforce laws. All these things were lacking under the Articles of Confederation. But he was also concerned about preventing any one branch or any one group from becoming too powerful. Go back to the lessons of what they went through with King George III and the Crown and his tyranny during the Revolutionary War. So Madison is seeking to create a government that was strong enough to govern effectively, but balanced enough to avoid, the dangers of despotism and authoritarianism. So Madison's Virginia Plan is presented to the convention by Edmund Randolph. Edmund Randolph is the governor of Virginia at the time, and it's presented on May 29th of 1787. But it's all the work of Madison. He had effectively prepared this blueprint in advance. And the plan proposed a new government with three branches: executive, legislative, and judicial. This would create a system of checks and balances to prevent any one branch from becoming too powerful. And so the key elements of the Virginia Plan included, one, a bicameral legislature. And so it proposes a two-chambered Congress, a House of Representatives and a Senate. The members of both chambers would be elected based on the state's population that they represent, which gave states like Virginia more influence. The House would be directly elected by the people, while the Senate would be chosen by the House from a pool of candidates nominated by state legislatures. Now, Madison also proposes through the Virginia Plan that the federal government have the power to tax and regulate interstate commerce. This would be his second point, to have a powerful central government. It gave the government the authority to also veto state laws that conflicted with national interests. So the plan then would call for this strong executive branch and a national judiciary that could oversee disputes between the states and also interpret laws. Now, the executive branch that he proposed was going to be not a committee, but a single executive, often referred to as a president, who would be elected by the legislature, by the Congress. And the executive would be empowered to enforce laws. He would also conduct foreign policy, command the military, but also have limited powers to prevent authoritarianism. Now, the judiciary that Madison envisioned would have the power to resolve disputes between states and also to interpret federal law. This judicial system would be essential in maintaining the rule of law and ensuring that states would adhere to national policies. And so, while the collection of the Virginia Plan, it was bold, it was forward-thinking, but it wasn't without controversy. Many smaller states, particularly those with fewer people in population, like New Jersey, opposed the plan because it would give larger states more power in Congress. So, to be the foil to this, William Patterson of New Jersey proposes the New Jersey Plan, which was a counter to Madison's plan, and it advocated for a unicameral or single-chamber Congress, in which each state would have equal representation, regardless of size or population, just like they had under the Articles of Confederation. And so the debates arise between the Virginia Plan and the New Jersey Plan, and it highlights the tension between large and small states. And it also threatened to derail the convention. But Madison's Virginia Plan ultimately formed the basis for much of the Constitution that emerges from the convention. The Great Compromise, which is also known as the Connecticut Compromise, was a compromise between these two plans. Thank you to Roger Sherman of Connecticut. It created a bicameral Congress, the House of Representatives, where representation would be based on population, which follows Madison's plan, and a Senate, where each state would have 2 senators, ensuring equal representation for all states, which is a nod to the New Jersey Plan. The Virginia Plan fundamentally reshaped the direction of the Constitutional Convention, and it provided a framework for the new U.S. government and became the foundation for what would become the U.S. Constitution. And so this creation of a strong central government with a system of checks and balances was an idea that influenced many later political systems around the world. The Virginia Plan also marked the beginning of the end for the Articles of Confederation. The Articles had failed to provide the necessary framework for a strong and unified nation, and Madison's Virginia Plan provided the necessary blueprint for that. The Virginia Plan is significant because it set the stage for the U.S. Constitution. Madison's vision of a balanced government with separated powers was crucial to the success of the new country. His blueprint for a strong federal government was a response to the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation, and it set the foundation for a more unified country. The ideas proposed in the Virginia Plan, a strong central power, a bicameral legislature, a system of checks and balances, have had a profound impact on American political development. And understanding Madison's role in creating the Virginia Plan helps us appreciate the core principles that continue to guide the United States today. The Virginia Plan was the starting point of the U.S. Constitution. James Madison's vision of a government that could balance power between the states and a federal government laid the foundation for the democratic system we know today. Without the Virginia Plan, the Constitution may never have come into existence. So, hey, throw me a like, a comment, a follow, a share for more things that you should know by being alive, because understanding the Virginia Plan through the creation of the U.S. government helps us appreciate the system that governs us today. Thanks for watching.